Hey folks, Joe's back here. For those that don't know me, my name is Joe Kuhn. I retired after 32 years with a Fortune 500 company as a senior executive. I've spent 30 plus years in leadership roles, and I was a plant manager 3 times, vice president once. But along the way, I've hired some great people. I've interviewed perhaps 1,000 people. I've hired several hundred people. And one of the things that I've been frustrated with is the interview process. And quite frankly, the vast majority of people, I'm wanting to say 99% of the people do not do an acceptable job at all. Most do a poor job of getting their skills and experience and work ethic and accomplishments conveyed during the interview. 99% don't, okay? So I'm going to talk about getting into the 1%, okay? And it's not that complicated if you understand what's going on and what's needed, okay? In the interview, that communication between the two parties, the person being interviewed and the interview team, you need to understand what's going on there and you need to be prepared. So let me talk about that a little bit for you. Okay, first, some interview horror stories, and self-reflect if any of these apply to you, all in entirety or in a portion. And I'm going to talk to you about how to fix it, okay? And just be your best self with extreme confidence during the interview process. Number one, horror story. 50% of the people that come into the interview process do not bring a pen, a pencil, a piece of paper, a notebook, or a copy of their resume. They walk in with nothing. They have their clothes on. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this. It shows, what's that illustrate to me? It shows you're lazy. It shows you didn't do the work, okay? Shows you're overconfident, okay? Show that maybe you're not taking this seriously. This is just a job interview. I got other things to do. I don't really need this job. Some portion of all these things are the messages that you're sending me on the other side of the table if you come in completely unprepared for the interview. I don't know what your pre-work has been consisted of, but you can't come in with nothing. Horror story number two. 20%, and these are rough numbers, these are Joe numbers, okay? 20% of the people come in and get frozen by the questions. They can't think of a single example. You ask them give me a situation where you had to provide an innovative solution. What was it and how did that turn out? And they can't think of anything. And then you say, okay, let's move on. Well, give me an example of a safety rule that you had to communicate a change and it wasn't going to be popular. Give me an example of you doing that. And they're like, they're frozen. Once you get them frozen on one question, you can ask them their name and they can't answer it. And they stumble around. Their answers are, at best, they're real choppy. Does that describe you, that you get frozen? 20% of the people get frozen. Horror story number three. 70%, and this is probably a little bit low, but I want to be conservative. 70% of the people have one go-to example. So you ask for a safety example, you ask for innovation example, you ask for working with a difficult employee, you ask for working on a team. Give me an example where you worked on a team, what was your role? And they all give the same example. I mean, every example, it's because once you get your mind on a topic, humans were, I'll get real dangerous here. Humans evolved to get focused. When a tiger comes at you, you get laser focused on the tiger. All you can think of is the tiger. So when you are in a stressful situation like an interview, because you didn't prepare, you can only think of one example. So you're stumbling around. It shows lack of preparation. It's just what it smells like to me. Poor ability to think under pressure. High important things that are happening to you kind of struggle with those things. So handling pressure, You can't handle changing priorities. You can only stay focused on one thing at a time. These are horror stories, folks. And I'm telling you, vast majority of the people display one, two, or all three of these things. None of these are good, folks. All show weaknesses, and that's not what you want in an interview. I have over 30 years of experience, like I said, in decades in leadership roles and interviewing people, seeing who's successful, who's not successful, promoting people, just being on the other side of the interview table. I've concluded, a conclusion I've come to is that the interview is won or lost before you walk in the door. Before you walk in the door, it's about the amount of pre-work that you have done, in all three stories, all three horror stories I just gave. It's the pre-work would have prevented the disaster. It would have changed the outcome, okay? Pre-work leads to confidence, okay? That's the word of the day, is confidence, okay? Confidence allows you to speak freely, to speak completely, to answer the questions completely, more thought out, okay? Increases the dialogue. You're comfortable. It's like talking to a friend versus talking to a stranger. And if you don't do it right with a stranger, it has severe consequences, like you don't get a job. It's all about the pre-work. Pre-work leads to confidence. That's the message you need to hear. Let me give two examples of this, okay? Real things that I discuss in a document that I'm going to be talking about in a second that's available to you. Two examples. Number one, have at least 4 critical experiences or skills that you want to ensure get discussed during the interview. The interview, they may have 6 questions, 8 questions they're asking you, and you may have these, 4 examples that you really want to get in, but the questions didn't lead to those 4 responses. Okay, have them written down on a piece of paper right there in front of you where you can see it, the other person can see it. If you use one of those examples, cross it off. Just cross it off, okay, as you use it. But have 4 of them, okay? What does that tell the interviewer? One, it shows you're prepared, okay? You thought about the interview. You prepared. You did the work. You do critical thinking, and you have a method about how you think. You jot them down, okay? It allows you to think freely. It allows you to respond to questions freely during the question and answer period. And then when it comes time to, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us, Mr. Joe? And you'd say, well, yes. You've crossed off 2 of these, but the other 2, you'd say, hey, I want to talk about this example. You make decisions based on facts and logically thinking through a situation, not emotional, because you wrote things down. All these are things that the company is looking for. So let me give a real example of that. One of these critical skills or experiences that you may want to write down to make sure it comes out in the interview. Okay. I have a CMRP certification, Certified Maintenance and Reliability Professional. It's a 2-hour time test, very difficult to pass in the reliability and maintenance arena. It's very unusual to be a plant manager and have a CMRP. So when I'm interviewing, if I would be interviewing for a job, I would make sure that came out, okay? I speak at national conferences, okay? I want to make sure that comes out. It shows that I'm keeping up with best practices. I'm often creating them. Okay, I just finished speaking at 2 national conferences in the last month. Okay, it shows I go past expectations of the job. The job didn't require me to get a CMRP. Very few. It's a unicorn to have a CMRP and be a plant manager. It shows I have passion, a drive, and work ethic, all because I insisted that I talk about this example. So, since I've got them written down, I don't have to think about them. I can give candid, genuine, passionate answers to the questions that the interview's given me. And I don't have to think, oh, what were those examples of the 4 critical things I wanted to make sure came across the interview? I got them written down right in front of me, okay? No problem. Confidence. Remember, the word of the day is confidence. So that was, have at least 4 critical skills or experiences written down in front of you during the interview, okay? Very important. The second example of preparation is practice to have a plan and document on how to address a skill or educational gap that's in your resume. Okay, everybody has gaps in their resume. Some, not gap in time. I'm thinking something that may make them not the ideal candidate. In the application or in the job description, it says, here's the minimum qualifications and then the preferred qualifications. Okay, let's have, for an example, the preferred qualification was to have an engineering degree, but you've made it to the interview and you have a strong suspicion the other 3 candidates being interviewed all have engineering degrees. You don't, okay? So that's a gap, okay? But they've selected you to interview, so you've got something going for you, okay? You made it through. That your resume looked good, and your phone screen may have looked good. So you have a business degree. This isn't true for me, but let's just say it is. I have a business degree. Address it head on. Don't let that gap just wander around. And, boy, I'm glad they didn't ask me about that gap. I'm glad they didn't ask me about that preferred qualifications. Address it head on. Okay. And have it documented in front of you, practiced. How am I going to address it? Hey, folks, with my business background, I can more easily convert solutions that from the technical community and communicate those solutions and make economic projections on the business to top management, to management that it's the controller, it's the gosh, I can't think of the one, the CFO, the CEO of the company. You can convey what that solution is worth in business terms. You can be that conduit. Folks, ideas die from sponsorship. It's usually not the technical ability, or how good the technical solution is. It's, can you sell that up? Can you sell that we need a $100,000 investment or $200,000 investment, or we need to hire people? Can you sell that? As a business degree person, I can take that solution and put that in a package to sell it up. And I've given you 2 examples of that today during this interview. So I am this link. So there's an example of how I take my business experience and turn that from a liability, because I don't have an engineering degree, and I turn it into a strength and paint a picture of how that can be an advantage. Okay? So don't hope that that gap is not discussed. Attack it and have it pre-thought out how you're going to attack it. Don't just hope it doesn't happen. Confidence, folks. All this is about confidence. I have a link below in this YouTube video, down in the text, to an interview document. It's called Mastering the Job Interview. It's taken me 34 years to create this document, okay? I coach 3 to 5 people every single week, okay? Every single week on their career. Most often it's on their resume. They may be looking to get another job and they're wondering why it's not working out for them, or coaching on how to be their best self and how to get their skills transferred, during or their experience and qualifications transferred during the interview process. It's taken me 34 years to compile what is critical, okay? And I've done that on a 7-page document that, like I said, is in the link below. This gap that I mentioned in these horror stories of interviewing, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to freeze, okay? You don't have you don't have to freeze. You don't have to use the same example. You come in prepared and show you all those, somewhat passive baby messages, body languages, observation messages that you're sending the interviewer. You can eliminate all those with pre-work and understanding from this document that I've created, like I said, that's taken me 34 years to compile. Folks, 5 pages of this interview, step-by-step, how to prepare for the interview. 5 pages are on pre-work, okay? 2 pages on how to conduct yourself during the interview. 5 pages are what you do before you walk in the door. And that's why I said the pre-work determines whether you're going to win or lose that interview. Folks, no one does these things. A lot of people, when they read this document, or I'm their personal coach, they're shocked. Um, they're shocked at what I tell them. They're shocked about the pre-work items that are expected, and how you can just really be that 1 in 1,000 employees by employing these actions. It's very simple to do. They're not complex. I say pre-work. Once you do the pre-work for one interview, you could probably just add 1 more hour to each interview you have, just to kind of tailor it to the company that you're interviewing with. And you will come across, like I said, 1 in 1,000 interview candidates. You'll blow them away with your confidence, with how good your answers are, all stemming from the pre-work that you did. Okay, you'll never freeze or stumble. You won't give the same experience over and over again. You won't have that tunnel vision. Okay, and you will be confident. Confidence allows you to think clearly, to verbalize clearly, get your message across. It all comes from confidence, folks. Confidence is what you have to have. How many people are nervous during an interview? I'm telling you, you do the pre-work, you look forward to the interview. You look forward to the interview and you kill it. Okay? You can do that, folks. I promise you can do that. Check out this document. Hit the link below. This is Joe out.